Well, this is Speaking Llama, a Survivor podcast. We are excited to be chatting with the latest castaway of Titans versus Rebels and the challenge beast of the season. We've got Rianna on the podcast. Rianna, how are you doing today?
I'm doing so well. I've actually just finished night shift. I was on the ambulance last night. Had a long shift, and I am jumping in on a high because I've just been receiving so many lovely messages today about my time on Survivor, and now I get to speak with you, which is so lovely.
Fantastic. Well, I'm so excited. I'm glad the night shift's over. I'm sure that's a whirlwind of working the episode now all these interviews. So
Yeah.
thank you. Um, well, I have a lot of questions about your game, but I want to jump in right about last night's tribal council. So I was watching your Jury Villa video, and you mentioned that you knew it was either you or Kirby going home, depending on whoever didn't win immunity that day. So my question for you is, how did you know that? And then what kind of deals or strat chats were you having leading up to tribal council to try to save yourself?
Yeah, so it wasn't unknown that I was been on the chopping block. I'm pretty sure like most episodes I feel I watched, I was like, yep, re. So my name and that target had been on my back for a little while. And so then it just got down to that point where I was winning immunity challenges. So I hadn't been voted out. And then Kirby has just come in post Alex hitting the heat bomb on her. So she was also the next target. And they're just like, do you know what? Either one. So if Ree wins, we take Kirby. If Kirby wins, we take Ree. And that was pretty much, it was just around camp, just kind of like the given speech that was going around to say that that's where it was at. Obviously, you see the challenge. Kirby wins, which is absolutely great. But then I know that I'm in a world of trouble because I'm like, I don't have I don't have a lot of people here that want me to stay because most of them are all like very open in saying to me that I am that challenge beast. None of them want to be at the end with me because they know they will all struggle to win some of those challenges. Also, on another side, I'm Kirby's right hand man. So it makes our duo stronger to keep us. And that's just dangerous for any of their games. So, like, even if I was voting, it makes the most logical sense to vote for me. As for the plans back at camp, we were trying to kind of get the girls on board to try and vote for Mark. Like we just thought about it. If you think about this logically, we can get you to the end. You've got to keep us, but like we'll help Caroline and Kitty. Us four
Mhm.
will make it. But Ferris is so good at being Ferris, isn't he? And he got his little spidey senses in there. And Caroline, she's got I don't know. I feel like Ferris has got a spell on her. I don't know what it is,
Mhm.
but Ferris has got his way with words. And Caroline, unfortunately, yeah, didn't play game. So that was kind of the last ditch effort. And when I knew she lied straight to my face on the beach about voting for Mark, because her little voice was like, I went so high when she talked. We're just like, she lied to us, lied straight to my face. Um, we're just like, oh, yeah, we're kind of like really struggling for options out of this. So I was
Mhm.
very I would have been surprised if it wasn't me last night. Like I would have been like, oh, but yeah,
All right, yeah.
I was planning my exit and what I was eating. I'm like, what am I going to eat when I'm sleeping on a bed? Like my brain had already probably got into that mode. So
that's, that's so good. Well, and a funny moment too was, you mentioned the Caroline conversation, but also I think we saw Kitty, says, "Hey, I'm voting for you." And you're like, "Wait, what?" Like, "Oh, I mean, I'm
yeah,
voting with you."
I know. And when she said that, I was like, oh man, there's so like I already know there's so many plans out there, and I know it's pretty much me. Like there was so many little things coming up, and I was like, okay. Well, at least
Hmm.
she told it to my face. Dude,
Yeah, that's true.
face.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Well, Rita, I'm excited to hear a little bit. Let's go all the way back to day one. You're
Mhm.
standing on the mat. JLP is introducing the big challenge. What are some of your first impressions of your fellow rebels out there?
Oh, my first impressions are probably very bad because obviously you're just basing it on what everyone looks like and everyone like how
Hmm.
they're like looking at you and things like that. I remember Peter, she had this like deepest, scariest stare, and I was so like, I was like, I'm intimidated and scared of you, but she's also the most loveliest person. And then Alex, I'm like, are you from a Disney movie? You're like Prince Charming or something. He's got his like flowing hair and like his abs out, and I was like, oh, geez, like can't you be a bit more like the rest of us? And then it's the other side where I had like Mark wearing like a suit jacket. I was like, do you
Mhm.
know the weather here? Like it's hot. And then I'm like, did you think about your wardrobe before you came here? Like, but also love Mark. But yeah, so like so many things. I was just like so many different personalities going on. And it's not for like the first few days that you can kind of like gauge actually who people are. So
Mhm. Absolutely. And one of those relationships, and I think in my mind, the biggest relationship of the season was you and Kirby as this power duo. So how did you two bond early on and connect up early in the game? I want to hear that, and then I also want to hear, because you were swapped to two different tribes, when you came back at the merge, what happened once you got back together?
yeah, so this is really cool. Like, obviously, I got my ride and die with Kirby, and we made this alliance day one, which I think is
Mm.
pretty rare on Survivor to find something day one and kind of stick the whole way through very tight, because you don't even know people really on day one, because you've got so much going on. But I remember we'd had a few talks around camp with other people, and they were so fake, but it's like, you want to work with me, or like what's going on? And I remember me and Kirby like looking at each other like what do you think about this? And then we had this like non-verbal kind of relationship, in the sense that we knew each other was kind of like cool and down to earth. We weren't really like ruffling anything up. That night, she's like, oh, let's go have a chat in like at nighttime. And then we ended up being like, do you want to be in this alliance like till the end? And it was kind of like, she's like, are you from the country? And I was like, yeah. Like, are you? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, country girls. Like, yeah, we're obviously like down to earth. We know where it's at. And like, we felt like there was a really strong loyalty there. And literally, I'm so happy that happened so organically. And then like, it just went from there, and it ended up working. So yeah, then I went to Tribe Swap, which was a stitch up for me, I must admit. Like, I
Mhm.
had no friends really. Like, the Titans outweighed us. So going over there, I felt like I was on the bottom for so long. And I was like
Mhm.
seeing Kirby over there with all my friends. I'm like, hello. So that time was very stressful for me, in the sense that I had to build relationships. And it's very interesting in this game, because just being a rebel coming into majority Titans, they already don't want you because you're a rebel. Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter about my personality, it doesn't matter what I do or anything. They're already just like, nah, nah,
Mhm.
no, you're not ruining this. So trying to crack that egg was actually really hard. And I'm actually, you don't see a lot of it, but I have a really big relationship with Kitty and
Mhm.
Jaden, and Caroline's there as well. So I end up getting there to get me back to merge, which I was so thankful to get back to Kirby. So, and then
Mhm.
merge is a whole different story. The whole game changes again. So
For sure. For sure. Well, so I'm glad you mentioned the swap. I was going to ask you about your strategy, but you kind of mentioned that. And so one thing I do want to talk about is the Sarah vote outs. So that was a pretty big moment.
yes,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yes. So would love to hear kind of your experience with that. I mean, as a viewer, that whole episode, I was just confused about what was happening. It seemed like the confusion was out on the beach too. So from your perspective, your story, what happened with that the liberation and the vote out?
So I obviously had my former relationships that I had built with, I believe to have built with Caroline and Kitty. And me as a person, and like, I feel, and I was saying this about like my being a paramedic, I feel like I do trust people, and I'm quite loyal. And I feel like I build a lot of my relationships by like time and being with people. Obviously, Mark came into that scramble quite hot. And I don't even know if it really does it justice, but he literally came up to me. He's like, vote Caroline. And then like, us four do it, we'll like blindside them. And it was just all like up in my face, like, you're doing this. And then he's like, I've got an idol. So like, pretty much I felt like I was getting almost strong armed to do
Mhm.
something. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, obviously, in a sense, it does make a lot of sense probably for the game and strategically, but on a moral level, I was like, this is not how I work. And I feel like the conversation didn't have to be so like forceful, I guess. And then
Mhm.
going that, I've had my conversations with Ian, Caroline, and Kitty, and obviously they have not told me what I thought was happening. So obviously, I've made a mistake, and it looks like I've obviously made a very left field vote out there. But and poor Sarah went home, love her. But you make mistakes out here, like, it happens.
Mhm.
Like, you're not really eating much, and like there's so many conversations going on. And unfortunately, this one happened to me. So
Mhm.
you know what? You live and you learn.
Absolutely. Oh, and that's a great point too. Like everyone messes up out here. So I guess I would love to hear from you. How do you respond afterwards? You go back to camp and you realize I just had a major stitch up. What do I do?
Yeah. Well, it kind of worked two ways because obviously I exposed Mark. So
Mhm.
Mark had said like, no, Rihanna's lying, blah blah blah. She's made this all up. But now it's actually all in the open. I was truthful. I was loyal. I actually said exactly what was happening. So they're like, we should have believed. Like Caroline and Kitty were like groveling at me, pretty much like, we are so sorry. We should have believed you. Like from here out now, like you have us. Like we don't want Mark. He's out. He's dead to us. So then I actually, at that time, I was like, yeah, they're fair. Like, that makes sense. I should have their loyalty. So that's where I felt moving into merge, like it should have still been there, but that
Mhm.
changes as well. So,
Mhm.
like, this game, everything always changing, you know?
Yes. Yeah. I feel like every episode people have been voting with different individuals and things like that. And so it's been chaos post merge. I don't know if it felt
100%.
that way during this season or not.
100%. I like feel like I'm in a washing machine at sometimes because it's like we're
Mhm.
like voting with them, no, we're with them, and then I'm like, there's not really the loyalty get card anymore. It's literally
Mhm.
on the day. It's like what's going to be working best for you, and tomorrow is a whole different day. You end up being with someone different. The only thing that held strong to that is that I had Kirby the
Mhm.
entire way, and I had that kind of grounding point, but everything else was like around, like it just moved around so much.
Mhm. And I imagine having that sense of loyalty gave you some security or safety. I'm someone I would want the loyalty too. I need someone to keep me safe and secure in that.
100%. Like, and like Kirby and I helped each other. Like, I know it shows Kirby and Ferris as these big players, but like I was a lot of the time making a lot of decisions with her and with Kirby through a lot of it. And she'll say the same things. And there's things that Kirby didn't see that I would see, and vice versa. She would see things that I wouldn't. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I was very grateful to have her throughout this season. That's for sure.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, one other vote out I want to talk about, and a lot of viewers have kind of seen parallels with the Sarah vote out with the Jaden vote out. To see another kind of stray vote out there, I believe at least what we saw, the original plan was to vote out Valeria at
Yeah,
that
yeah.
tribal council, and then everything got switched at tribal council to put the
Yeah.
vote on Alex, and you still voted for Valeria. And so, from your perspective, there's chaos at tribal. What happened in that tribal council, believe?
Uh, I kind of want to back it up a little to the scramble. So
Hmm.
at scramble, I was already sensed Raymond was not voting with us. Like I could just see it in the way he was at camp, and I was like saying to Kirby, "What do you reckon about Raymond?" She's like, "Nah, I'm pretty sure he's good. He's good." And then she's like, "Go talk to Ferris," and I was like, "Ferris, are you sure Raymond's voting with us? Because I feel like I've got some weird senses that he's not really doing what he's saying he's doing." And Ferris like, "Ree, he always votes with me. Trust me, he's good." I was like, no worries. Come into tribal. We're all bloody split up. I'm sitting in the middle between all the different like voting. And then as soon as I sit down, Raymond's obviously talking to Mark. And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm like, to, like Kirby and Ferris, I was like, this is what I'm talking about. And they're kind of like, calm down. Like, it's all good. But they must be obviously doing their little eye thing and like being like, oh, what is he doing? And I've already been like, told these people like
Hmm.
and then it gets to the very end. I reckon it must have been like 20 seconds before we voted, and like I can see them all scrambling with their eyes and doing something, but I didn't actually get told like the Alex thing, or
Oh,
like I
wow.
didn't understand what they were talking about. So then I like was getting they're like doing weird stuff with their eyes, and I'm like, what's the go? And then JLP's like, is everyone ready to vote? I'm like, are we ready to vote? Like, and then they're like, and then so it's my biggest regret. I know I'm pretty sure it's Kirby and Ferris's biggest regret, but none of us just got up and just said, hey guys, this
Yes.
is what we're doing. And you know what? It would have been like the whole different story. And like, yeah. So I was very sad because Jaden was someone very close to me, and then I had to say goodbye to him. And then he was
Hmm.
like, and it just changed the whole dynamic because we lost one of our own, I would say. And yeah, it was hard to watch back. I was like, oh god,
I
going through this
bet.
again.
Yeah, well, and great read on Raymond not voting with you all. That's fantastic.
I know. And I was like, oh, I wish they showed that back on the edit. I was like, oh, I had this one. But then I didn't because then I didn't even vote that. Didn't change the votes. So, look, my
That's a good
game is
point.
still
Yeah.
improving. My game is still improving each time. I am a very good learner. So I know a lot of the fans are like, oh, she's got no idea. But in my defense, I'm not like a super fan. I don't know everything about this game, but I have
Mhm.
100% learned so much. And if I ever got back the call up again, I would know so many different things to do this next time.
Yeah, I would love to see you come back again. I think that would be phenomenal. Now, Rihanna, I would love to hear, we're getting close to at the end of the season. Did you have an ideal path to get to the end? Were you going to turn on Kirby? Were you going to try to take out Ferris? I mean, what was your path to get to the end?
Um, my pass to the end where I thought we could get down with the four girls.
Mhm.
Actually, at this, like we've had Caroline, Kitty, myself, and Kirby. And then I would use that to pick off Mark, Raymond, and Ferris because I feel like they were my kind of biggest. Like they always wanted me out, like pretty much. And I
Mhm.
didn't have the closest relationship with them. Then when it got down to the last thing, it would just be down pretty much who won the challenge. It would almost like knock a few people out. Caroline would probably be first, and then between Kirby and Kitty and who won what, because we were actually Kitty, Kirby, myself, we're probably all would give it a hot crack on any of the
Mhm.
challenges and trying to beat each other. It would be quite entertaining to watch, but where that landed I wouldn't be so sure. But being with those two at the end, either of them I would have been very happy in the sense that I'm going there with quite strong people and just have to see who pitched themselves the right way to the jury.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. And that's the fun of it.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
Rita, last question for you. Again, you were an absolute challenge beast out there. So of all the challenges you competed in, what was your favorite, or maybe which moment are you most proud of within the challenges?
Um, the one I think I'm most proud of is the one where I'm against Alex. I know that happened a lot. The one where our feet are over that piece of wood and we're hanging
Yeah.
on the rope. I think it was because this one I felt I did have to like push harder than the other ones where I felt like had a bit left. Where this one I remember like it cuts in behind your knees, and then by the time my ankles were over there was like a bit of metal that was like cutting into my foot. And I remember saying to Jaden, who was standing next to me, and I was like, I don't think I've got it. I don't think I've got it left in
Mhm.
me. And he's like, if you've got anything at all, you give it a go. And then I was like, I've got something left. And then I remember being like, I mentally was like, you just do not let go of that rope. Whatever you do, just do not let go. And that was like a mental thing for me. And then I literally just didn't. And then I ended up taking out that win of that one, which I was really proud of.
Amazing. And that challenge seemed incredibly difficult. So very well done.
Thank you.
Well, Rihanna, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Loved getting to hear more of your game, your insights, things like that. And really excited to see you on the jury and you get to help crown the winner of this season. So
Thank you so
hope you
much.
enjoy watching the rest of the season along with us.
Thank you so much for your time. Yes, I can't wait for jury and to see the winner.